Chelsea, we were just talking about the ponies in the previous segment. Are you a big horse person? Have you ever ridden a horse, been around horses?
Oh yeah, I'm a former horse girl. You know, horse
What?
girls that have been used in pop culture saying that horse girls are kind of crazy and you can attribute
Yes.
someone being crazy to having a fondness for horses. I had a
Hmm.
horse growing up. I was very big into horse shows. So I would travel around and do horse shows and I had my own horse. So I love horses. And it makes me
Ooh.
kind of cringe when people are like, I'm betting on the ponies. I'm like, they're not ponies. Ponies are completely a different breed of horse. These are not ponies. These are huge American thoroughbreds who are racing, not ponies. It's not mini
I
horses.
I bet exclusively on miniature horses is what I do. No.
I mean, I would love that though. Even
So,
though, here's a nerd statement, many
okay.
horses are different than ponies. It's a different breed. So, many horses
Is
is
it?
correct, but ponies are like in between a mini horse and a horse, like as far as size goes.
Oh, this is like the pony version of my HVAC story. So, Chelsea, what was the name of your horse? Not your pony. Bet the horses. What was the name of your horse?
Well, he was a pony. He was an American Shetland pony, which means it's a bigger
Oh,
pony than most. So he looked kind of like a horse, like a small horse, but his name was Buck, and he was state champion in Western Pleasure before I got him. So I did horse shows for a long time, and eventually I got out of it because there were a bunch of overweight girls who were beating me in these horse shows, and their horse was so trained that all they had to do was sit on the horse and win. And meanwhile, I'm over here just shaking my fist. So eventually I got into competitive sports where my personal performance mattered a little more.
okay. There's a lot to unpack here. Let me see if I can do it very quickly. So, you got out of riding horses competitively because overweight girls were riding ponies that were doing all the work.
Yes, correct. Like, didn't you hear our analysts in the last segment? It's like even in racing, you can have the best jockey of all time, but if like the horse isn't great, you're going to be dead. So, I mean, the thing is, the horse matters way more than the rider. And these people had these really expensive horses that, their parents were just really rich. And that made me very angry. So I switched to softball.
Oh, very nice. There's nothing that Chelsea hates more than an overweight woman on a pony. If I've
God,
heard that story once, I've heard it a million times. It got her out of the sport completely, and she's never forgotten about it.
don't get me canceled, Jenks.
I'm
Jeez.
not. I'm not. It's just a personal little story that, we've all moved on from. Coming up next on BetQL Daily, the Joes and Aaron debate just how good Shohei Ohtani is. We debated that earlier in the show after he does something that has not been done since Babe Ruth. And if you missed our discussion about the trade market for Baker Mayfield or lack thereof, download and subscribe to the Daily Tip wherever you get your podcasts. It is that time of day. Let's find out who we have the most faith in tonight.
Today's best bets.
Chelsea, you got last night, gave us a winner while I was taking L's all over the place. So give us another dub.
Yeah, looking at a strikeout prop here, Kyle Gibson of the Philadelphia Phillies going under his strikeout prop of 4.5 for minus 118. Yeah, I love this one because Kyle Gibson, not really a strikeout pitcher. He hasn't hit this mark in each of the last 3 starts, including his last time out against the Mets. His very last start was against the Mets. He only got 3. And plus, the second time a pitcher faces a lineup, the advantage goes to the hitter. And this is one of the better hitting lineups in all of baseball. The Mets have the second best batting average. So that's another factor. Sometimes you can hit the under on these strikeout props if a pitcher is chased from a game early. So I think all of these factors point to the under for Kyle Gibson, plus the fact that the Mets just don't strike out a lot. Bottom 10 in strikeout rate over the course of the season. So let's go Kyle Gibson of the Phillies under a strikeout prop of 4.5 for minus 118.
Chelsea, we will be watching the same game. I am on this as well, but I'm going to go over 7 runs here. And I know when you look at this matchup, you've got Max Scherzer on the hill, and he's about as good as it gets. But ultimately, what I'm banking on is a couple things. Number one is this is a low number. And number two, the Mets bullpen isn't great. The Phillies got rocked last night. Also, look at the Mets and how they're hitting the ball last night. Had that incredible comeback. They've been raking for most of the season. I just think this total is way too low. It could be one of those pros versus Joes. You're going to see the starting pitchers and you're going to think the under is the play. I think it's the over. It's only minus 115 at BetMGM. And that is my best bet. Where's that 8 ball?
Holy
crap. Magic 8-ball.
Damn straight it's an 8-ball, and that's how we get our great analysis on this show, a toy 8-ball that we got from the toy store. So, Jenks, it's now time to ask the Magic 8-ball if he's going to tail or fade our bets. So let's start with mine, and we're going to go Kyle Gibson under his strikeout prop of 4.5 for minus 118. 8-ball, shake you up. Do we like it? 8-ball says, very doubtful.
Oh, negative 8-ball, huh? Well, it had to happen sometime. That's a rarity. Give us another shake.
All right, so over 7 runs in the Phillies and Mets game. This is Jenks' play. 8-ball, do we like it?
Come on.
My sources say no.
God, what happened to the 8-ball? I guess he doesn't.
Gosh.
I guess he heard your pony story. He didn't like it too much either. Mr. Negative.
I think when my daughter was throwing him around the other day, because remember the 8-ball was MIA for a little bit.
Now, did we clarify, because you said the 8-ball was in the kitchen, it was actually behind your computer. So did Blake actually grab the 8-ball, or did you misplace it and blame your daughter on live radio?
No, she definitely threw it because she threw it on the hardwood and I thought it was going to break. I think what I did is I put it back in my office and I forgot that I did that. So she definitely threw it. It made a very loud noise.
Let me ask you this. Your husband played Major League Baseball. He's a pitcher. So when Blake throws something and she shows off that arm, does he just beam with pride?
Well, he's taught her to do this.
There you go.
He throws things in the house too. And I'm like, Jake, what do you think she's going to do? If she sees you throwing baseballs against the couch, what are we doing here? We're setting a bad example.
I think that's a great example. When she's called up from the minors to play Major League Baseball, you're going to be glad Jake was throwing baseballs into the couch years and years ago.
No, we want her to be a golfer. I think the money's better in golf. You can play longer.
If you want to watch Chelsa shake around the 8-ball after it's been tossed around by Blake earlier in the day, you can go to twitch.tv/BetQL. That's twitch.tv/BetQL. Chelsa, let's check in on the Donkster. For insight, analysis, historical trends, and more 5-star best bets, you can download the BetQL app. Okay, we're going to do leans in a second, but I want to get to the Donkster real quick because the Donkster has been up and down throughout the week. Here's what's that, Donkster? What are you saying? Yeah, I know. You're betting overs blindly against Chelsa. This guy has no thought process whatsoever. He just got a big marble rolling around in that donkey brain of his. He's betting overs blindly. Listen to this. White Sox, Red Sox, over 8.5. Royals at Orioles, over 8. Rockies at Diamondbacks, over 8. I don't know if he's putting any sort of analysis in this, but that donkey brain has been up and down all week, about 500, I would say the record is. Are you going to tell the Donkster here?
Remember the last time he picked all overs? He swept the board. So maybe he's going back to the well and saying, hey, this hit last time, so let's blind bet a bunch of overs again. We'll see if it turns out for him. But I am very surprised, for one, that the donkey is not betting on the Kentucky Derby. Those are his brethren. Is he not watching the Kentucky Derby?
Well, here's the thing. Normally, most animals will be able to discern the difference between a donkey and a horse. The Donkster doesn't know. He doesn't know that. He thinks he's watching fellow donkeys out there on the track. What? Who do you like? What do you like? What's that, Donkster? He says, I like Mo Donegal. That's a fun name. You dumb Donkster. 10-1, you like Mo Donegal? You understand those are not donkeys out there. Those are horses, right? You understand that? No. What? He says, they look like donkeys to me. We each have 4 legs. You dumb Donkster. Oh, my God. All right, Chelsa. I could argue with the donkey by myself and embarrass myself for another 5 minutes. Let's table that for now and get to your leads.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat, going over his points prop of 18.5 points for minus 125 over at BetMGM. He has hit this in each of the last 2 games against the Sixers, and he's averaging this over his last 10, averaging 19.2 points per game. And plus, look at the matchup here. If Joel Embiid doesn't play, why wouldn't the Heat take advantage of the matchup down low, because it's not like they even have Andre Drummond down there anymore. There is a huge drop off when it comes to defending the paint. So I think the Heat know this is a huge advantage. So I think we see another big game from Bam Adebayo. Going to go over his points prop of 18.5 for -125 over at BetMGM.
Ooh, I like that quite a bit. You've been on that from the very beginning. I'm going to do a little stick and puck as my lean, Chelsea, before we get out of here. I'm going Boston on the money line tonight, -125 at BetMGM, hosting the Canes. And I know Carolina has dominated this series early on, but their backup goalie is going to be out for this game. Antti Raanta took an absolute shot from David Pastrnak in a really physical game in game 2. So now you've got third stringer Peter Kochetkov making the start for Carolina. And this is a Boston team that is very physical. They have a lot of pride. They are talented enough to win a game in this series, particularly back in Boston and against a third-string netminder. This is a cheap price for Boston, -125 on the money line at BetMGM. That's where I'm going with. Do you have another lean?
No, that's it.
That's it? We're done-ski? Are you going to bet, before we get out of here, are you going to bet on the Derby?
Yeah, but it's not like I'm going to share an informed pick, because I'm literally just going to be blindly tailing the analyst we just had on the show, or the horse I think is the prettiest. So I think that's a good angle.
Well, it's kind of like when you bet March Madness. Sometimes you bet a team that has the prettiest colors. Sometimes you bet the prettiest horse and it comes home. You never know, Chelsea. Coming up next on BetQL Daily, they're going to talk about Shohei Ohtani. We're going to get out of here and look at some more horse bets. She's Chelsea Messenger. I'm Michael Jenkins. For the entire crew, I'm going to name them: Bill Eniver, Matt Pisani, David Dykstra, that's Double D, and the Donkster, who's going with Mo Donegal over the weekend. This is the Daily Tip from BetQL, presented by BetMGM. Good luck on all your bets tonight and this weekend. We will see you on Monday bright and early at 6 a.m. Bye.